Nuanez now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
What up, what up? Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as statewide television, SWX Montana TV. I'm Coulter Nuanez. Nuanez now is your one-stop shop for all things sports across the great Treasure State each and every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN Radio. You can also listen live on our station website, 1029ESPN.com. Click on Listen Live. You'll find the stream. Or you can watch us on YouTube. Go subscribe to both our YouTube and our podcast channels. You're going to want to. You're going to need to. Tomorrow, giving you all the details of our big fall giveaway. And one of the stipulations is you're going to have to prove that you're subscribed to both the YouTube and the podcast channels. So head on over there, Nuanez, on any of your podcast hosting platforms or on YouTube. We'll get you there. And please rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff. We are coming to you live from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport has the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. They are available both in Missoula at the corner of Stevens and Mount, as well as online at nwmsrocks.com. Let's take a look at what we got in the show today. If you want to be a part of the show, 888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. All guests will join us via the Rangish Brothers RV phone line. We got a 6-pack and a Sammy for you from Warden's Market, about 45 minutes. And if you want to be involved in the conversation, you got comments, feedback, whatever you want, give us a call or shoot us a text. That's a fun way to interact in the show. Appreciate all the texts. We got like a dozen texts yesterday during the show. That always spices up the conversation and lets you, the loyal listener, be involved. A lot to get to today. We've been talking extensively about this Montana-Eastern Washington showdown in Cheney on Saturday. Me and the whole crew were going over there, taking Andrew Houghton from ESPN as well as Skyline Sports, as well as a couple photographers. So we'll make our way over to Cheney for that showdown at 8:30 p.m. local time, 7:30 over there Pacific Standard Time. And we've been talking a ton about that game, so we want to touch a little bit about what's going on the other side of the Continental Divide. We'll start this thing off with the catching up with the Cats. Got a few sound bites from Montana State head coach Brett Deegan, talking about last weekend's Big Sky Conference opening victory at Portland State and this weekend's home game against Northern Colorado. It's a Thursday. So that means our good friend Carolyn is going to swing on by. Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports do that every Thursday, presented by AC Hotel. Also going to get into some of the prep games from around the state this week and give you a little 6-pack and Sammy from Warren's Market. And then hour number 2, very excited about this. Good buddy Kyle Sample, longtime journalist colleague, a guy who was a sports writer all over the great state of Montana. We worked together and alongside each other at the Bozeman Chronicle. He also worked at the Helena Independent Record as well as the Missoulian and multiple times at Skyline Sports. But he is now, he's a recovered journalist, as they say, but still a guy that's really engaged in all things sports, particularly football. So we're going to talk San Francisco 49ers, the landscape of the NFL entering week 4, buying and selling a couple squads and a couple players, and also, of course, talk all things Grizz football. And we're going to get into our Houck highlights as well. Caught up with Bobby Houck for just a couple minutes earlier this week before a rainy Tuesday practice. But we will get into some thoughts from Coach Houck as well as his team prepares to go on the road and play the number 6 team in the nation in the Eastern Washington Eagles. Montana State is off to about as good a start as I think you could have expected or hoped if you are affiliated with the Bobcats, because there's a lot of question mark, a lot of skepticism when Jeff Choate left Montana State to become the co-defensive coordinator at the University of Texas. Choate, a dynamic and charismatic figure, a really good recruiter, a really good motivator, a really good fundamental football coach, a guy that had a defined identity for what he wanted the Bobcat program to be about. He wanted to be a hit you in the mouth, run it down your throat, and play tough defense type of coach. Well, Brent Vigen comes in with a fully different identity. Brent Vigen is a very steady hand. He is not the charismatic or inspiring speaker that Jeff Choate was, although I do think that I'm starting to understand Brent Vigen a little bit more, and he's not necessarily into the hype or the hyperbole or, the long soliloquies or monologues like Jeff Choate was. But Vigen is a very smart football mind. I think he's a very tempered and steady hand at the helm for the Bobcats. And MSU is 3-1 right now, with 3 consecutive victories coming into their home opener against Northern Colorado, which is a game that they're certainly going to be favored in. And so can they keep it rolling? For me, the first of a couple judgment days for Montana State is going to come in 2 weeks on the road, Friday night under the lights, Ogden, Utah, the next of the ESPN games that the league has scheduled. And if they can just stay hot and go into that game at 5-1, it'll take a lot of momentum down there in what will be one of their 3 pivotal road games. The Bobcats, among the primary contenders, who, in my mind, the primary contenders in the Big Sky Conference are the Montana Grizzlies, the Montana State Bobcats, UC Davis Aggies, Eastern Washington Eagles, and then Weber State, Sac State, they're kind of on the outside looking in. Weber, their backs are against the wall. They're off to a 1-3 start. They're going to probably have to run the table and maybe even go just 6-1 down the stretch to be able to get in the playoffs for a 6th consecutive year. But I do Sac State, what remains to be seen. They have one of the easier schedules in the league. They have to come to Missoula in a couple weeks, but they don't have to take on Montana State. They don't play Weber. They do play Davis in their season finale. So it was sort of, we knew what the tier was going to be, but that's sort of what the tier is at right now. But Montana State has the most of these quote-unquote Judgment Day type games remaining on the Big Sky Conference schedule. Montana, they do get Sac State at home, and they get the Cats at home. They don't play Weber State. Eastern this weekend is probably their toughest challenge in between now and the rivalry game at the end of the year. And but Montana State, they have to play at Weber, they have to play at Eastern, and they have to play at Montana. So taking care of business in the games that you are favored in is going to be essential for Montana State, because right now, 3-1 start. I think if you go 1-2 in those 3 tough road games, but you win all the rest of them, then you're sitting there at 8-3 and you're a playoff team. If you win 2 out of the 3 road games, you're sitting there at 9-2 and you're a Big Sky Conference contender. If you somehow take care of business and win at Weber and at Eastern, maybe you're rolling and you're undefeated in conference play. Again, if you take care of business in the games you're supposed to win and you come to Missoula with an unscathed league record, and then maybe Grizz Cat, whatever you want to call it, is for the Big Sky Conference title. So we'll see. Remains to be seen. But let's hear from Brent Vigen. A couple sound bites from Montana State's head coach. First and foremost, his team posted a gritty 30-17 victory over Portland State. I think Portland State is actually the top team in that bottom half of the league, because I think their quarterback, Davis Alexander, is outstanding. I think he's one of the most talented players in the league, one of the most veteran and toughest players in the league. And he was as advertised last week in Portland, and he had the Vikings in the game all the way into the late of the third quarter. But I thought the last 20 minutes of the game, Montana State, the physical conditioning that Brent Vigen has talked about extensively since taking over as the head coach, the testament he's given to new strength coach Sean Herron, that showed through. I thought Montana State looked like the more well-conditioned and more physically fit team. And they sort of just broke Portland State. They were up 17-16. They were down 17-16 late in the third quarter, but they kept handing the ball. Isaiah Fonse, he manages to plow his way to 217 yards on a whopping 30 carries, which, by the way, the most by a Bobcat ball carrier since Cody Kirk carried the ball 30 times back in 2012 at Northern Colorado. An unforgettable effort. I remember that game vividly, but ironic, Northern Colorado coming to town on Saturday in Bozeman. But 30 carries for 217 for Isaiah Fonse. And a pretty big outing for him. He leads the league in rushing right now, entering the second week of Big Sky Conference play. He's halfway to 1,000 already. So he's had an outstanding year. Former Washington Gatorade Player of the Year, one of the best backs in the league. And then on the defensive side, Montana State just slammed the door shut. They had a couple sacks in the fourth quarter. Thought Amandre Williams, Daniel Hardy, and Troy Anderson all played really well, particularly the last 15 minutes of that game. And they didn't allow Portland State any points those last 20 minutes. And they themselves scored 2 touchdowns to win going away with a 30-17 road victory. So good effort by Montana State. Things did not necessarily go their way for a lot of that game. So the fact they were able to gut out what turned into a 2-score win, impressive. It's a good win. I think Portland State is pretty good. And Montana State now, they got one that they should take care of business in against Northern Colorado, but we'll see. We'll get to that one in just a minute. But here's just a minute from Brent Vigen, Montana State head coach, on his team's victory in the City of Roses last weekend.
What are some of the things that have stood out to you after watching film from Saturday's game?
Well, I think first off, Portland State's quarterback, Davis Alexander, is a really good player. And we knew that going in. We knew that he would be tough to contend with. He made his fair share of plays, and fortunately, down the stretch, we were able to corral him. So that was the first thing. I think we felt like their defensive scheme would challenge us, and we couldn't quite gain the momentum offensively to stay on the field in the first half enough, but figured out some things. And, it's just like I said, Davis Alexander's a really good player. Isaiah Alphonse's a really good player, too. And getting him to the second level was the key. And obviously, he had a tremendous game. And we really needed that. And he carried the lion's share of the attempts for us. And ultimately, that'll have to be divvied out a little bit more, I think, as the season goes along.
Certainly will. 30 carries in a college football game is unsustainable, no matter how talented or tough you are, especially with the way Isaiah Alphonse runs. I mean, he hawks guys in the open field. When he gets to the second level, he's looking for somebody to go lower his shoulder and hit. So he's an impressive player, impressive talent, but Montana State's going to have to put a priority on keeping him fresh if they want to make a run in the Big Sky Conference. It's Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Northern Colorado has had exactly no success since joining the Big Sky Conference in 2006. A couple winning records under Ernest Collins Jr. They went 6-5 back-to-back seasons. They did beat the Grizzlies one of those years, which was one of the final nails in the coffin for Bob Stitt as the head coach at Montana. They have always had talent. I remember that 2012 team. I believe they went 0-8 in league play, and they had multiple pros on that team. Seth Lobato, the quarterback, he ended up getting into a camp. They had Jace Davis, a receiver who played for the Ravens for several years. Clarence Bumpus was a drop-down from Kansas State who got a sniff in the NFL. They've had guys there at Northern Colorado. The culture of winning, the ability to come together as a team, the importance of football, the relevance of football, all of those things have eluded Northern Colorado. Well, they now have relevancy instantly because one of the first families of football is leading the way and dominating the headlines at UNC. Ed McCaffrey, 13-year NFL veteran who caught more than 500 passes and more than 55 touchdowns during his career that stretched between the New York Giants, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Denver Broncos. He's now the head coach at Northern Colorado. We heard from him yesterday on the ESPN Roundtable. If you want to find that interview, just go to the Nuanez Now podcast. You can also find it in today's Big Sky Breakdown. Big Sky Breakdown today has a bunch of great analysis from Brooks Nuanez, Ty Gregorak, and Sean Rainey, as well as Alex Eshelman, and also has interviews with Eastern Washington head coach Aaron Best and Eastern Washington offensive coordinator Ian Shoemaker, and, of course, Ed McCaffrey. Well, McCaffrey not only is the figurehead and the publicity maker at UNC, and as well as the head football coach, he also brought a couple of his boys with him. Max McCaffrey is the offensive coordinator. Max played in the NFL for a sniff. He was a former Duke player who learned under David Cutcliffe as a wide receiver. He's the play caller. He can't even be 30 years old. I think he's in his late 20s. And then Dylan McCaffrey, former Michigan quarterback, is the quarterback there at Northern Colorado as well. Of course, Christian McCaffrey currently plays for the Carolina Panthers. And Luke McCaffrey transferred from Nebraska. I actually never really tracked down where he ended up landing. There was some rumors he might go to Northern Colorado as well, but I'm not sure. But I'll look that up here in just a minute. But the McCaffreys are definitely a prominent football family, and their presence at Northern Colorado has added relevancy and gotten them a lot of attention. Does that translate into victories? I'm not sure. But Brent Vigen, a couple thoughts. Montana State head coach on his team's game, 105 kick from Bobcat Stadium Saturday afternoon as Montana State hosts Northern Colorado.
Well, they're coming off a big win, and they back-to-back overtime games, finding a way to win against a team that had just come off of beating, an FBS team. I think that was a big win for them. And, they're a program that they hired a coach in the offseason last year and didn't get a chance to play. So they're really, I'm certain, still creating their identity. And getting, I don't know if that's a signature win, but getting a big Sky win like that, certainly is one to create some momentum with. And they have several transfers from a lot of different programs. So they're a lot different than they would have been in 19. To even think anything resembles what they were in 19 would be a real mistake. And Coach McCaffrey brings a wealth of experience from his playing days, his coaching days at Valor Christian. He's got his son, who played in the Big Ten, playing for him at quarterback. They got some really explosive players on offense, running backs, receivers, and they got some really skilled guys on defense. So, we could look at their scores, line them up, look at their stats, and say whatever. But they're coming off a big win, and we gotta be prepared for their best shot.
Scheme-wise, what are they more conventional than PSU? Similar?
I'd say more traditional on offense. A mix of being under center and play action. Try to get the running game going. Not as pass heavy maybe as Portland State was. Not as dependent on their quarterback to make plays. However, Dylan can make a bunch of plays with his arm in particular. Really good running back. A couple of those transfers are at the receiver position. Really good size guys. So yeah, more traditional in their sets. Trying to get one-on-ones with those big receivers. Defensively, it's a 3-3 stack defense, one that we probably won't see the rest of the year. So a little bit of an anomaly again from a defensive perspective. It's a defensive system that's come along the last couple of years. Started I think A&M, Iowa State runs it. We saw it at Wyoming, both with Tulsa and Texas State. So it's becoming more and more of a defense that can really slow down the pass because you're dropping 8 in the coverage quite a bit, but you're deployed enough to stop the run by the way they set. So, it'll be the way the season goes. You shift gears schematically week to week. That's just the way things work, and we've already done that starting here on Monday. So.
Would you characterize that 3-3-5 as a big nickel, or do they play more of a rover safety, or what does that secondary look like in that scheme?
They're secondary player, more safeties, but it's got an unusual flavor to it. When it's probably the one time in 11 games you'll see it. I think that's the biggest thing. And that year at Wyoming in 19, we saw it 2 out of 3 weeks. So I'd have personally a little bit of experience. I know Coach Hauswright does. They played Iowa State last year when he was at Oregon. There's a little bit of history, but they all got their different spin on it. So, they're really active with their front 5, really good players. And then secondary-wise, they're deployed and they play a lot of zone. So you have to be patient, take what they give you. That's really, it's really a bend but don't break type of philosophy.
So there you go, Montana State head coach Brent Vigen here on Nuanez Now. We talked a lot about the McCaffrey family, but how about Dylan McCaffrey, the quarterback? He's actually split a little time. I think he was banged up a little bit earlier on this year. But in terms of just pedigree, he's a former 4-star guy, former top 150 recruit. I think he was the number 6 quarterback in the country coming out of Valor Christian High School, which is a powerhouse in the Denver area. By the way, Ed McCaffrey coached there for a brief time. But Max McCaffrey and Dylan McCaffrey both played there, as did Luke McCaffrey as well. I believe Christian did too, but for sure those other 3. And Dylan comes with a high pedigree. He's 6'5". He's got a lot of talent, and he will be a catalyst for Northern Colorado. So Brent Vigen has coached a lot of quarterbacks with that same makeup between his time at North Dakota State and Wyoming. A couple thoughts from Brent Vigen on the younger McCaffrey, the one at the helm for the Northern Colorado offense.
You mentioned Dylan McCaffrey, the quarterback for Northern Colorado. And there's been, in recent years, guys that were, 3-4 star recruits that have landed at the Big Sky and in the FCS as well. But, he's a little different than that, even as a guy that was, a top 100 player coming out of high school, a top 10 quarterback in the entire country, in Michigan, all that. So do you see that talent level? Do you see him on film? And what sort of impact do you think that potential could have in the league long term?
Yeah, he's talented, and we didn't have a shot to recruit him at Wyoming, but with the proximity to Denver, I was very familiar with Dylan, and in going to Michigan, that was warranted by his high school career. I know Michigan's played a bunch of guys at quarterback the last several years. It's been a little bit of a revolving door, but he was on the field a bunch, and I think he's a guy that has football in his blood, obviously, and has athleticism in his bloodlines. His brothers, his dad, his mom, I know one of his grandfathers, I think, was an Olympic champion, or Olympian at least. So there's a lot to be said for him just growing up around sports and competition, and then, having been coached by his dad, and then now being coached again by his dad and his older brother. What a unique situation. Max is the offensive coordinator, and so it's early in this whole transition for them. But Dylan's got a whole bunch of talent. I think he's more of a passer than a runner, but he's more than capable of making some plays with his athleticism, and he's got some really good targets. Really good sized targets on the other end. So I would imagine their passing game and his numbers will continue to grow as this season goes along, as his career does. We're catching him on the early side of it, and hopefully we can have our own level of success against him. But I would imagine he's going to have a good career and be a real big impact down there in Greeley.
Brad Vegan on Dylan McCaffrey, the quarterback that will lead the Northern Colorado Bears into Bozeman. Montana State hosting Northern Colorado, 1:05 p.m. kickoff, family weekend in Bozeman. Bobcats on a 3-game winning streak. Northern Colorado coming off a 17-10 overtime victory over Northern Arizona last week in Greeley. This is Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. You want some mimosas? Maybe Bloody Marys? How about some brunch? Everybody loves brunch. Carolyn, chick who doesn't know sports, is going to tell you how to win it from the AC Hotel. So keep it tuned. Your favorite segment of the week, the chick who doesn't know sports, next here on Nuanez Now.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask. This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides...
Grizz Hockey is back. The reborn Grizz Hockey team is playing Montana State this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $10 for adults and $5 for UM students and kids under 13, and are on sale now at Hockey and Lacrosse Wolf, or can be purchased at the gate right before the game. A large crowd is expected, so get your tickets early and don't miss your chance to see Grizz Hockey play Montana State this Saturday. There will be a bar at the game provided by Silver Slipper, and free shuttle to and from campus, picking up and dropping off at the Adams Center starting at 6:45 p.m. It's Grizz Cat Hockey this Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
If you're one of thousands of businesses that face additional charges from a money transferring service, Farmer State Bank has great news. They offer Zelle, a fast, safe, and easy way to send money to friends, family, and others you trust that have a U.S. bank account. Best of all, it's free at Farmer State Bank. Simply download our mobile money app and follow the prompts to enroll with Zelle today. It's fast, it's green, and it's free. Farmer State Bank. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
We ate a lot of steaks before we came up with the Montana Club's Private Reserve Cut Angus. It's as good a steak as you're going to get. Our Private Reserve Cut Angus is specially cut for us. And with our custom seasoning, it has a flavor that's absolutely incomparable. We're confident that it will satisfy the most discriminating steak customer for an unrivaled steak experience. Real Montana, real food. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
As a thank you to Montanans for their longtime loyalty, Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors is having one of the biggest sales of the year, September 29th through October 10th. Whatever outdoor adventure you seek, you'll find amazing deals in hiking, fishing, camping, hunting, fitness, and footwear during their 12 Days of Deals sale. Over 100 years of Montana sports and outdoors tradition. Hurry in. The 12 Days of Deals sale ends October 10th.
Football is back, and Nuanez now has everything you need to know about the weekend that was for the Grizzlies, the Bobcats, around the Big Sky Conference, and around the Treasure State in prep ranks too. Join Coulter Nuanez, Riley Corcoran, and other contributing guests for the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now for compelling analysis, interesting information, interviews, and more. The Montana Football Hour, the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. on 102.9 ESPN Missoula and statewide on SWX Montana Television. Presented by Brett's RV and Marine.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
College hoops practice opened around Montana and around the NCAA this week, and the Lady Grizz started the upcoming year with a bang. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. New Montana women's basketball coach Brian Holzinger and his staff secured a verbal commitment from McKendra Koenig, a 5'9" point guard from Mill Creek, Washington, who is listed as the 91st ranked player in the United States. Koenig is a 4-star recruit who previously competed for the Austrian U16 national team. The Montana women's soccer team won its 5th consecutive game, all coming by shutout, and finished off a sweep of its Big Sky Conference opening road trip with a 1-0 victory over Southern Utah on Sunday afternoon in Cedar City. The Grizz opened the league with a 1-0 victory at Northern Arizona Friday night. Montana's last 4 wins have been by 1-0 scores, with the goals coming from 4 different players. Bella O'Brien scored the deciding goal of the most recent Montana win. In crosstown volleyball action last night, Big Sky took down Hellgate in 4 sets. The Eagles moved to 2-11 with the win, and Hellgate remains winless at 0-9. And finally, in the latest Treasure State media football poll, the Sentinel Spartans are nearly the unanimous top team in Class AA. The defending state champions won for the 14th straight time at Helena last week to move to 4-0 this season. Sentinel received 14 of 15 first-place votes. Billings West came in second. Elspell Glacier is number 3, Butte number 4, and Great Falls CMR is number 5.
This 102.9 ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
For you on a Thursday. I'm not a big Lizzo fan, but I am a fan of this song. And I'm coming around, you know. I don't know. Just trying to not be a hater. Trying to project the positivity out there into the world. Hopefully you're having a positive and outstanding Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to Nuanez Now. Thanks so much for kicking with us here on a Thursday. I'm Coulter Nuanez. We are broadcasting to you live from the Northwest Motorsports Studio on both 102.9 FM ESPN Radio as well as SWX Montana Television. Northwest Motorsport can be found online. Largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. NWMSRocks.com. Somehow, someway, our good friend Carolyn is dressed up for Halloween. She's dressed up as Ryan Tutel today.
Oh, am I?
What do you mean?
That's my impression.
She's got her flannel on, and she says it's not planned, but apparently there's all sorts of flannel going all around Missoula this weekend. We'll get into that in a little bit, but Carolyn, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports do this every Thursday here on Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. You can't see Carolyn because she doesn't come on the TV show. We always do this pre-recorded. We have to tell you that now. That's why we're telling you. All right, Carolyn, tell us, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, since you brought up the flannel, let's just have a quick little scoop. This Saturday at the Southgate Mall is Flannel Fest. They're doing like a big, fun, fall-themed festival. And what's really exciting, besides all the cool stuff they're going to have, is the UM Grizz hockey boys are going to be there, and they're going to be signing autographs and handing out pictures and giving prizes, and they're going to be there from noon to 2 inside the new atrium right outside of Shields, not Shields. Pardon me. So go check it out. It's going to be pretty fun.
Sounds like an excellent time. We've been talking about it a lot around here, but if you haven't heard, Grizz hockey is back, and they're getting their season underway this weekend. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. We will have all of the Grizz hockey home games right here on ESPN Radio. John Wall is going to be on the call for us, and that'll be a great addition to our content package here at ESPN Radio. So excited for all that. And you should go check out the Grizz hockey team, whether it's in person or on these radio waves, because it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports is presented by the AC Hotel. AC Hotel is new to Missoula, downtown, beautiful hotel, but they also have an awesome restaurant/bar where you can get some brunch, you can get some cocktails, and it's not just for people staying at the hotel, right, Carolyn?
That's right. You can walk right in, and for $14, you can get access to the most amazing brunch you've ever seen. I mean, the meats, the cheeses, the liquids, and, Coulter's favorite, milk.
Milk, baby.
Jeez. So,
our new producer here at ESPN, Andrew Houghton, he thinks my milk consumption is disgusting as well.
Well, he's
Do you
probably
still drink
right.
milk?
Yeah. You know what I love? I love a glass of milk and a graham cracker. It is a delightful treat at the end of the day.
I like milk with my soup.
What?
Is that weird?
Yeah, what do you mean?
I make big pots of soup on Sundays. It's because the easiest way to get vegetables, and you have it all week.
Yeah,
you can just
I like
have
that.
meals, whatever. I just like milk with my soup.
Great. I mean, you probably have really strong bones.
I certainly have strong bones, yes.
So, so the AC Hotel has milk. They also have all the juices. They have an amazing coffee machine thing that does cappuccinos and Americanos. It's great. So, caller number 3.
Wow.
I did it. I went ahead. I jumped ahead. Caller number 3 can win breakfast for 2 along with 2 mimosas or Bloody Marys. So give a call. And good luck.
The phone number, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Caller number 3. Good luck. Sounds like a great thing to have. No Grizz game at home this weekend. Bobcats are playing over in Bozeman. That doesn't do you any good if you're going to the AC Hotel. That'd be a quick turnaround to get brunch and be at Bobcat Stadium. But all sorts of great college football games on. And maybe enjoy yourself a little Saturday morning brunch and then go enjoy yourself a Saturday afternoon in downtown Missoula. And then maybe head on home and watch that Grizz game because it's not till 8:30. You're going to be sleepy time by then.
Oh, yeah. Also, just so you know, the AC, it's not just on weekends. You can go to breakfast there Monday through Sunday.
Very good.
Just want to make sure everyone knew that.
Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here on ESPN Radio. You'll like this before we get into your stuff. The game kicks at 8:30 local time Saturday night, the Grizz game at Eastern Washington. It's on ESPN2, first nationally televised regular season game in the history of the Big Sky Conference. So it's big time for both the universities and the football teams, everything. But my brother and a couple of the other guys I know that have young children are so mad about this.
Why?
Because Brooks is like, dude, this game's not going to get over until like 11:30 or midnight. You guys aren't going to be sending me any stuff to post on Skyline or for ESPN or whatever until 1, 2 in the morning. He's like, I'm not staying up, dude. He's like, you're on your own. I got to go to sleep.
Nap when the baby naps. That's the number one rule.
Well, he has these exceptionally special children that don't nap.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That was the best part of when they were
I know the Grizz basketball team, too. They have a couple coaches that have had new babies recently, and they're both just like, man, it ain't happening, man. I'm going to bed at halftime. So, anyways, not to fully agree with Bobby Houck, but football should be played in the afternoon. I know that the fans like the 8:30 kick. It ain't good for the players, the coaches, the media, anybody else involved.
Right.
It's not that fun to be working at 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'll be in deep REM by then.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, Carolyn, what else you got?
Well, I have some pretty angering news if you are from Chicago.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears have purchased...
Well, you should lead with the Chicago Bears suck. Next.
Wow.
They're just so bad this year. I just don't know how they could get so... I don't know how they could get it so wrong. Like, they were so utterly unprepared last week. It was astounding. It was the worst offensive performance I've seen by any team in the NFL in 10 years. Unreal.
Okay, well, I don't care about that.
I know you don't. You still think Jim McMahon's the quarterback for the Bears.
I know he's not. It's Jay Cutler.
Oh
okay.
God.
They
Sorry,
purchased whoever. They purchased the what's it called? Whatever. Outside of the city. They are planning to leave Soldier Field. They purchased a huge property. I think it usually does horse racing or something like that.
Sure.
and it's in Arlington Heights, which is the lamest suburb in Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, no offense, but
this is just the trend, right? I mean,
it's so
I'm
stupid.
not that surprised.
Why? But I don't even understand why you would take the Bears out of downtown Chicago. It's super easy to get into that stadium. You go right off Lakeshore Drive. You're right there.
Yeah.
It couldn't be easier. Is it the taxes?
I mean, it's obviously, it's among the most iconic venues in all of sports.
It's the oldest one. NFL.
I think that's the whole thing, though. It's the oldest one. That's why they have to do an upgrade. I mean, this is happening across the board, right? I mean, I almost called them the San Francisco Warriors. The Golden State Warriors have been in Oakland forever. They moved to San Francisco. The San Francisco 49ers are not even close to San Francisco. They're like 40 miles away in Santa Clara. It's just kind of the trend.
This is stupid.
It is stupid, but the answer to every question when we ask why are they doing this, the answer is always the same answer. Money. Because you can go build a gigantic venue that is not just a sports stadium. It can, like SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, $5.5 billion. Well, it houses restaurants, businesses. I mean, there's startups in there. There's tech companies.
Does it have its own zip code?
I mean, it maybe should, but the fact is, it doesn't. We can bemoan the removal of nostalgia from our lives as much as we want, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is money, and that's not my opinion. It's just the way that the United States works.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little story.
Okay.
Soldier Field also houses the Chicago Fire soccer team.
Right.
My first concert in my life was at Soldier Field. Paul McCartney. Shout out to Paul.
The Bears are just moving out of Soldier Field, though. They're not actually getting rid of Soldier Field, right?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All the memes already have Spirit Halloween signs all over Soldier Field. So. Okay, enough about that.
That's it's interesting though, because I think that some of this stuff is just underreported on. The way that stadiums are built is so fascinating because sometimes it's privately funded, sometimes it's publicly funded, and sometimes it's a combination of both. Like, why does Portland State, which is a largely irrelevant basketball school or a largely irrelevant athletic department, have the nicest basketball arena in the entire Big Sky Conference? Well, because the school wanted a new basketball arena, but they put it on the ballot to have this be a multi-purpose arena that people could vote on to fund. And so Portland State plays 16 basketball games for their men's team, 16 for their women's team. That's only 32 events. And then 250 days a year, otherwise, concerts, plays, graduations, parties, conventions, all that. So I'm just interested in what they're going to do with Soldier Field. I can't imagine that they wouldn't just repurpose it and just have, if the Chicago Fire are already there, just have other people come use it. It seems silly that they would decimate a historic place like that.
I will lose my mind.
Oh, I think you and about 10 million other people would.
I'm the only one that matters.
Well, you're the only Chicagoan that I know.
Right. Well, I hate when these things, it's iconic. You drive into Chicago, it's there.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. I'm going to have to find a new sports team, apparently.
Yeah, it's only hard for the people that have to watch it happen because you don't know any of the stadiums that used to exist. They got eradicated, right?
True.
And no one's sad about them because they don't remember.
Wasn't there a Boston one?
Boston Garden.
Yeah, that one got...
Our good friend Tommy allegedly has a piece of the Boston Garden at his house. I'm telling him he needs to get that thing NFT. That could be like buku bucks. He might be able to buy a house with that thing.
Well, don't tell him because then he might quit here. We need him.
That's exactly true. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. Good friend Carolyn here on ESPN Radio. Maybe you're watching SWX Montana TV. Maybe you're on the YouTube. However you're consuming the show. Thanks so much. Go subscribe to our YouTube and our podcast. You're going to have to be subscribed to both to be eligible for our fall giveaway, which we're going to announce tomorrow. We got big prizes for you. Okay, keep your bellies full. That's the only tease I'm going to give you. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. All right, Carolyn, what else you got?
Do you know who Devin Williams is?
Tell me.
He is one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. He plays for the Bruins.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, the Brewers, not the Bruins.
Bruins.
Sorry.
That's hockey.
So sorry.
The Brewers, okay.
Brewers, 27.
Okay.
He got drunk on Saturday night and punched a wall, and now he can't pitch.
Oh, boy.
What? I mean, come on. You're a pitcher. Why would you punch a wall?
Yeah, it's not that good. Was there any motivation to this?
He got drunk and a little angry about something.
What was he angry about?
I'm sure it was a woman. It always is. He went out for some drinks. He became enraged for some reason, he says, and went home and socked a wall.
Man, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
It's stupid, yes.
Okay, well, I'm glad we agree.
Yeah, I mean, pitchers in their hands, man. I mean, this is such an Uncle Rico story, but I remember when we were 12 years old, we were like thinking we had the best baseball team in Montana. and we were thinking we were going to the Little League World Series. And then our best pitcher, who was like one of the best pitchers in the whole region, was riding his BMX bike, went off a speed bump, wrecked, broke his wrist. You've never seen a grown man, our coach, as mad at 12-year-olds as our coach was. I mean, my God, I thought we were all going to die. I thought he was going to just drive us off a cliff in a truck because he was so mad at us because we were going to go win it, and then we didn't. And he was, oh man, that's a funny memory from several
hilarious.
lifetimes ago. But yeah, no, breaking your hand as a pitcher, not good.
Yeah,
doing that kind of stuff when you're getting paid like that is
well, that's
really
what I'm
dumb.
saying. Like, don't be an idiot.
What's the one thing you can't do? Break your pitching hand.
Right.
Under no circumstances should you be doing anything that hinders that. Okay. Well, poor Devin Williams.
No, not poor Devin Williams. He did it to himself.
Devin Williams.
Yeah. All right, Ben Simmons.
Oh boy.
He would rather lose $33 million than suit up for the 76ers ever again.
Is that what he said?
He is willing to sit out the season because he's a brat.
Well, perhaps. It's like, you an Eric Church fan?
No, who's that?
Oh my gosh. It's a country music star.
Oh, gross, no.
Yeah, oh my God. She's saying this wearing her country music shirt.
Just a plaid shirt.
It's a plaid flannel. Yeah, it looks like you're going to an Eric Church concert.
Ew, never.
Well, Eric Church has many famous songs, but one is It's Over When It's Over. And it's all about, when it's over, it's got to move on. Doesn't matter. Stop trying to salvage your broken relationships. This is a broken relationship.
Why? Tell me.
He's just got to get out of there. He's just been toxic forever. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick. Can't get his head on straight. He can't shoot. They fired a coach and brought in a new one. They don't get along. He can't get along with Joel Embiid.
So what is the common denominator here?
Ben Simmons.
Correct.
Right. But
why does he continue to get $33 million then?
Well, because he's 6'10" and he's the best perimeter defender in the
Well, he
NBA.
Clearly isn't, because you just said he's not.
No, he's really good on defense. That's why he's so high paid.
Where do you think he wants to go?
I think he wants to go anywhere but Philadelphia. I also think there's a distinct dynamic where when you are a flawed athlete or coach in Philly, that is perhaps the hardest place to do it. I think it becomes really toxic because the media in Philadelphia has more aggressiveness and vitriol towards Philadelphia pro athletes and coaches than anywhere in the country.
Why?
Have you ever been to Philadelphia?
No.
Everybody lives on top of each other. It's like 5 million people, but in a city that's like tiny. So
they have the cheesesteaks and the Liberty Bell.
It's just cultural. I don't know why. I don't know what the why is, but Philadelphia is the most hardcore and mean-spirited fans and talk radio guys. Like our good friend Marty Morningweg, who's showing up here now on Mondays for the Monday afternoon quarterback with Coach Marty, which, by the way, tune in 5 p.m. every Monday to talk all things football, specifically NFL with Marty. But Marty was in the NFL for 27 years, but he, as an offensive coordinator, he was in Philadelphia for the most substantial part of his career, 11 seasons. His wife, this is how this whole thing originated. When I first met his wife, she was like, I need a talk radio segment because I used to have to listen to talk radio all the time when we were in Philadelphia. And these guys were so mean. They're so mean about Marty. They're talking about Marty and our family and blah, blah, blah. And she was just saying it's just horrific, like how mean they are and how far off the beaten path that they go. So I do think that when you're young, and to me, Ben Simmons, a clearly unstable young man, I think that Philadelphia can wear you out.
All right, well,
Ben Simmons is the primary example of too much too soon. Ben Simmons was the number 1 overall. People knew Ben Simmons was going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft when he was 16 years old. He basically coasted through his only season of college because they made him go to college because of the stupid rules. Mm-hmm. And he's the number 1 overall pick, and he's got paid gobs of money because of his potential. And he is elite in certain ways, but he's not elite in other ways. And he can't get along with the 76ers' best player. Philly's not a good place for him. It's not going to reach the point where he actually sits out. He's way too talented of a player for somebody to not make a move to get him. But it's over for him in Philadelphia, and I think that that's actually a good thing.
As I've said before, when you sign a contract, you see it through. I am so sick of these players being little babies. It is just, I want to go give them a spanking. Okay,
well,
not really, but
if you believe anything of the underlying world that is sort of infiltrating professional sports, then Ben Simmons might like the spanking.
Okay,
we'll
I was not meaning it like that. This is a mom. This is a mom talking.
Okay,
this is mom speak.
Yep.
You see your contract through. Yep. You play your best because you need to, if you want to get traded, you should be playing really well so that people want to pick you up. Right now, they think you're a problem. What if you come on to my team and now you hate me and you're going to be a big baby?
There's also the element. I was talking with a colleague of mine who works at a national website that covers professional and college sports, and I was asking her what she thought was inbounds and out of bounds in terms of covering guys' personal lives. And as she said, your personal life is out of bounds until your personal life affects your professional life. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of all the rumors about Ben Simmons' professional life, but he may very well want to get out of Philadelphia because he just doesn't want to be around the people that he's been surrounded by there.
Okay. Bad seeds.
I think that Ben
Bad
Simmons.
apples.
I think Ben Simmons has been maybe not living the most savory of lives. So a change of location might be good for him.
Oh, Benjamin, I don't think so. I think you are. I mean, I think here's my prediction. He's going to get traded, or whatever's going to happen, and he's going to be a big old baby there too.
Trade him to New Orleans. Be perfect.
Doesn't sound like it. I don't think New Orleans is a place for someone who's living an unsavory lifestyle.
But he would be a great match with Zion Williamson. He could accentuate his offensive skills. It would be a fun team. New Orleans is a secondary media market, so he wouldn't be under nearly as much pressure. I like New Orleans.
All right, we'll see what happens.
It's going to be so dumb, though. He's going to end up on the Lakers or something.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen.
I love LeBron. I want LeBron to win, but if it's just like LeBron and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and Ben Simmons, that's fun. Let's get 4 of the 10 best guys in the world on the same team. Dumb.
Exactly.
Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports, good friend Carolyn, in studio with us here on Nuanez now, ESPN Radio. What else you got?
All right, I have one quick thing. I know we're on a time crunch.
It's okay.
Emmitt Smith.
Okay.
He is selling his mansion for $22 million.
Okay.
Guess what you get with it?
A bowling alley.
Dinner with him.
One dinner. Give me $22 million and I'll buy you dinner once.
He's also designed this mansion to have all sorts of Easter eggs. Like it's $22 million because his number was 22.
Yes.
His dining room seats 22 people.
Wow.
That's all I remember. But if you have $22 million laying around, this is what the other thing I was, sorry, I just remembered. Last week we were talking.
So weird.
Last week we were talking about certain athletes who they're playing the long game. So they know they want to become, like on-air personalities at the end, blah, blah, blah. Well, Emmitt Smith started investing in real estate really young, like right when he got into the NFL.
Sure.
And
Emmitt was a very smart guy.
Yeah. And so he has made a ton of money besides what he made in the NFL, investing and selling real estate and all that stuff. And so once again, this is my kind of person. Think about your future.
Totally.
So buy his mansion, everyone, and have dinner with him.
I got a couple things to finish up with you on. One, I know you're not going but to add to your list of homework, I want you to read Boys Will Be Boys by Jeff Pearlman. It's a book about the early 1990s Dallas Cowboys.
Deion Sanders.
You will howl with laughter the debauchery that these guys were engaging in. Unbelievable. Emmitt Smith was the reason I brought this up because Emmitt Smith was actually outside of this. That's why he was so successful for so long because he wasn't going to the White House as they called it and going to all the parties and yada yada yada. But these guys were partying at an all-time high level. But it's an entertaining book for sure. I
kind of remember watching the news and things like that. Like I remember the Cowboys were kind of big in the early 90s.
Kind of big?
Well, I don't know.
It's the biggest they ever been.
I do remember they won a Super Bowl in there.
They won 3.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it was the biggest the Cowboys had ever been, and that was coming from a team that had been called America's team through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah, early 90s Dallas Cowboys, perhaps the most visible and powerhouse of superstars that has ever existed in the NFL. I mean, that was one of the most highly exposed teams ever, and those guys were just straight acting a fool the whole time. So
I would read this book. I have to get through the murder mystery I'm currently reading, and then Three People magazines, and then I will get to it.
Okay, I will. I'll get that for you.
Oh, great.
Also, I need to introduce you to Warwick Dunn. Not in person. If I knew Warwick Dunn, that would be phenomenal. But you needed to know about Warwick Dunn. He is like your mom dream come true. So Warwick Dunn grew up the son of a single mother. He became an NFL superstar and a great running back. And he has taken the vast majority of the money he's made and he's built homes for single mothers throughout the entire South. And these guys built like 150 homes throughout his life.
I have goosebumps.
It's so cool. Yeah, no, Warwick Dunn is the man. He's super awesome, and hopefully we can teach you more about him because I think he's like what you're always trying to preach on here, which is, use your money for good things.
Yeah.
The last thing, before we get you out of here, Tom Brady's going back to New England. I can't believe you didn't even talk about this.
I was trying to get through this without talking about him. I was going to say the quarterback who we shall not name. I saw the most annoying promotion on NBC this morning about him, and it was like this slow music and these slow shots of Tom Brady. And I was like, get this off my TV.
The fact that the NFL has gotten to the point of producing a promo that involves slow motion shots of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick with an Adele song. What's the Adele breakup song?
Hello from the other side. I was like, are you kidding me?
Funny. It's so funny.
I wanted to barf.
It's so funny.
It was awful.
And Tom Brady's going to keep getting the last laugh because they're going to go into New England and they're going to kick their butts. And
so
Tom Brady just keeps on winning.
I was talking to my husband. Somehow Tom Brady was on the TV again. And
of course, he's
never
never not on the TV.
Tom Brady thinks he's going to play till he's 50. And my husband said, no way. And I said, unfortunately, I think it's going to happen.
I mean, he's almost already there.
I know. So I'm pretty annoyed. But in 4 years, I will be really happy.
Chico Doesn't Know Sports, presented by the AC Hotel. Go check out AC Hotel downtown Missoula. Breakfast, brunch, drinks, whatever. Don't have to be staying there. You can go check out their awesome bar and restaurant. And tune in each week to the Chico Doesn't Know Sports for your chance to win a couple of vouchers to go on down to AC Hotel and enjoy some brunch and mimosas. Carolyn, thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a great weekend.
You too. Of all the moments in this radio show, Carolyn singing Adele falsetto in mockery of Tom Brady is hilarious. I just hope you guys enjoyed that because that was phenomenal. Thanks so much, Carolyn, for swinging by, and congratulations to our winner from a couple vouchers for brunch at the AC Hotel. What's going on in the world of prep football this weekend? And how the polls looking? We'll get you all set up right here next. Keep it on ESPN Radio. Buying or selling a home can be an intimidating task. Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team of Windermere Real Estate are here to make you feel comfortable no matter where you're at in the process. The official realtors of Grizzly Athletics have more than 4 decades of experience in Western Montana. Brent and his team can not only find you your perfect home or buyer, but they can also teach you about the great city of Missoula and its tradition-laden sports teams. The Wahlberg team works as a family to help fulfill your real estate needs all over Western Montana. If you need help with residential, land, investment, or commercial, give Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team a call today. Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan Holloway and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan Holloway and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in Western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan Holloway and Miller today. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Here at Florence Coffee, we take pumpkin serious, offering a variety of pumpkin lattes, chais, and frappes. They're all made with our real pumpkin to give your drink that genuine and satisfying fall pumpkin taste. Also try our all-natural pumpkin spice flavoring made from real spices and extracts. If you're ready for something pumpkin, you're ready for Florence Coffee. Go to any location or florencecoffeeco.com.
Under the big sky, Florence Coffee Company.
Missoula has always held a wonderful reputation as a runner's haven, a place where those who like to jog along the river and those that like to bound around the trails thrive. From the dedicated weekend warriors of our Montana communities to the exceptional college and high school running talents from across the Treasure State, many of the best athletes are the runners in and around Western Montana. Tune into Nuanez Now, twice a month for River City Runners, a local segment about the Montana running community. River City Runners is proudly presented by Zootown Sports Cards.
1, 2,
Nuanez now on ESPN Radio.
What's wrong? You've been asking, but I don't have an answer. How come? I'm still thinking, let's pretend to fall asleep now. When we get old, will we regret?
What up, Montana? Happy Thursday. Hope you're having an outstanding day. I'm going to make it better for you. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television, broadcasting to you live from the Northwest Motorsports Studio. If you're watching in on TV, notice I don't have any hair left. I didn't have much in the first place, but I went on down to the old Compass Barbershop today. Got the haircut thanks to Jason, Zach, and the boys. Of course, shout out to Smalls, too. Best place to get your haircut anywhere in Missoula. So, pretty fun atmosphere, too, man. We were talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about this new Korean Netflix show, Squid Games. These guys are just, they're dialed when it comes to pop culture and literature and everything. It's a awesome old school style in the barbershop where you got good conversations going on at all times. So if you need something, haircut, beard trim, whatever, head on down to Compass Barbershop right there on the hip strip. How am I going to make your day better? Well, have you ever had a Wappa sandwich from Worden's? You ever had any sandwich from Worden's Market? Man, if you haven't, you need to. If you have, you want one again right now, I promise. And we got not only a sandwich, but a six-pack and a Sammy from Worden's Market. All you got to do is give us a call right now. Caller number 406-888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. Caller number 4. We got a six-pack and a sandwich from Worden's Market. Any sandwich you want, any six-pack you want. All you got to do is call, give Andrew your name. He'll call Worden's. They'll put you on a list. You're fed. You got some beers for the weekend. You're sitting pretty. 406-888-1029. Six-pack and a Sammy. Presented each Thursday during the 4 o'clock hour by Worden's Market, Missoula's oldest grocery store. One more time, 888-1029. That's 406-888-1029 for your chance to win a six-pack and a sandwich from Worden's Market. Let's take a look quickly. Kyle Sample, by the way, coming by for hour number 2 to break down all things football, NFL, Montana Grizzlies, and around the Big Sky Conference. We're also going to hear from Bobby Houck in hour number 2 as part of our Houck highlights. Let's take a look around some of the games upcoming for the high school football slate. Getting about the midpoint of high school football. First and foremost, take a look at the Treasure State Media Poll. It's the poll that I have a vote in. It includes 15, 16 media members from around the state. Obviously, the newspapers do their own poll, and we don't participate in that only because we're not invited. Sorry about that. But Tyler Smith and the guys over at the Class AA Facebook page, they do a good job of compiling a bunch of information and giving people a bunch of stuff. And so here's this week's Treasure State Media Poll. Sentinel Spartans, number 1. They got 14 of the 15 first-place votes, 79 points overall. Spartans 4-0, and they won 14 straight dating back to last season. They are the defending Class AA champions. Number 2, Billings West. They fell to Sentinel in the opener of the 2021 season, but they've won 4 straight since then, so they sit at number 2 with 65 points. Kalispell Glacier holds steady at number 3 with 39 points. Butte High, number 4 with 34 points, and Great Falls CMR up into the top 5 for the first time with 14 points. So Sentinel, West, Glacier, Butte High, and Great Falls CMR. That's your top 5 in this week's Treasure State Media Poll. This is the Prep Extra, by the way. Presented by Farmer State Bank. Sorry, I just made a mess. I was trying to grab my live read sheet here. You know, this is live radio, and my Fits in the Tantrums record fell on the ground. That's okay. Prep Extra is brought to you each week by Farmer State Bank. Your home could be worth more than ever. Use your equity in your home to make a difference. You could pay off high-interest loans, finance a remodel, or build that addition you've always wanted. Start the process online at farmersebank.com. Farmer State Bank has been helping Montanans prosper since 1907. What are the AA games on the slate this weekend? Well, Belgrade plays Gallatin. Those are a couple teams that have been the victories have been elusive for, but sort of a little cross-valley matchup. Belgrade and Gallatin High School probably less than 10 miles apart, so not necessarily in the same town. You can't call it crosstown, but pretty good rivalry there. Another crosstown rivalry, Big Sky at Sentinel this week. So it'll be interesting to see how that one all plays out with Big Sky, a team that's also been struggling to find some success, and Sentinel rolling right along, 14 straight wins dating back to last year. Great Falls CMR takes their good start on the road at Bozeman, sort of a prove-it game for Bozeman. Excuse me, I'm looking at week 7. This is my fault. I'm looking at the wrong portion of the schedule. Let's backtrack here. This week, we got Great Falls High at Belgrade, Gallatin at CMR, Great Falls CMR. Glacier is at Helena High. That's a good one because the Bengals got shut out, or basically shut out last week, 6 points in a 27-6 loss to Sentinel. So Wolfpack and Bengals, that could be a playoff preview. Capital plays Butte. Sentinel plays Flathead. Hellgate and Big Sky. So crosstown this week. Sorry, I was looking a little ways down the way. I was looking at Tyler Smith's kind enough to send the media poll a little graphic for me, and then he was I thought he was telling me about this week's games, but this is actually week 7 games, so I apologize for that. But to Hellgate Big Sky this week, so a little crosstown action here in Missoula. Building Senior Bozeman this week as well. Skyview is playing West. And then it's next week that all those other games that I just mentioned are upcoming. So we'll keep you apprised of all of that, all the results. Also tomorrow, Garden City Spotlight will feature interviews with Mick Morris from Missoula Hellgate, as well as Matt Johnson from Missoula Big Sky and Dane Oliver from Missoula Sentinel. So stay tuned for that. A couple Class A games this weekend. Rivalry game, Laurel versus Building Central. That's always a dogfight, so that'll be a good one to keep your eye on. A couple other ones worth noting. Dillon plays Butte Central, so that's always a good rivalry there in the Southwestern A. Columbia Falls Polson, so a couple contenders up there in the Northwest with a couple big games as well. So those are some of your best Class A games of the upcoming weekend. And as far as Class B goes, Florence Falcons, they continue to roll along. They are the number 1 team in Class B. They're undefeated. They take on Eureka. So Eureka's been darn good, too. Eureka took care of business against Loyola last week, and Florence blew out Anaconda. So down in Florence, the Lincoln Lions take on the Eureka Lions, Lincoln County High School takes on the Florence Falcons. And Loyola, they host Big Fork. So that'll be another good big Class B game as well. For all the results of all that, stay tuned here on Nuanez Now. Hour 1 in the books, hour 2 coming at you. My main man, Kyle Sample, he's wearing a pretty white hat. He just walked in the studio. We're going to talk all things Grizz, NFL, Bobby Houck, and more. Keep it tuned right here, ESPN Missoula.
Garden City Paint and Glass is proud to offer a huge variety of high-quality paints and stains at affordable prices, like C2 Paints, Dunn & Edwards, and Prolux Seekin Paints. These brands offer you great quality and great prices. The trained staff at Garden City Paint and Glass will help you with the right colors and tools to get your project right. Visit GardenCityPaintandGlass.com for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Montana for over 30 years.
Oh, I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Fridge in my mouth. And peace of mind knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check. Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
Although it might sound daunting, getting your wisdom teeth out is just a part of life. No matter when you might need your wisdom teeth extracted, Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates in Missoula is the man you need to see. Dr. Morris has extensive experience and a reputation as a surgeon who's both gentle and detailed, and will make your wisdom teeth extraction process seem like a breeze. When you need your wisdom teeth removed, put your trust in Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates of Missoula.
Are you ready to step up your hair game but just not sure where to go? Well, Compass Barbershop, recently voted one of Missoula's best barbershops, is here for you. For the precision cut you're looking for, you've got to find your way to Compass Barbershop, Missoula's retro barbershop and salon for everyone. It's easy to schedule your appointment online at compassbarber.com. For more details, you can find them on Facebook or Instagram. Find your way to Compass Barbershop, open Monday through Saturday on the Hip Strip at the corner of modern and retro.
We ate a lot of steaks before we came up with the Montana Club's Private Reserve Cut Angus. It's as good a steak as you're going to get. Our Private Reserve Cut Angus is specially cut for us. And with our custom seasoning, it has a flavor that's absolutely incomparable. We're confident that it will satisfy the most discriminating steak customer for an unrivaled steak experience. Real Montana, real food. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian Insurance Products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
College hoops practice opened around Montana and around the NCAA this week, and the Lady Grizz started the upcoming year with a bang. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. New Montana women's basketball coach Brian Holzinger and his staff secured a verbal commitment from McKendra Koenig, a 5'9" point guard from Mill Creek, Washington, who is listed as the 91st ranked player in the United States. Koenig is a 4-star recruit who previously competed for the Austrian U16 national team. The Montana women's soccer team won its 5th consecutive game, all coming by shutout, and finished off a sweep of its Big Sky Conference opening road trip with a 1-0 victory over Southern Utah on Sunday afternoon in Cedar City. The Grizz opened league with a 1-0 victory at Northern Arizona Friday night. Montana's last 4 wins have been by 1-0 scores, with the goals coming from 4 different players. Bella O'Brien scored the deciding goal of the most recent Montana win. In crosstown volleyball action last night, Big Sky took down Hellgate in 4 sets. The Eagles moved to 2-11 with the win, and Hellgate remains winless at 0-9. And finally, in the latest Treasure State Media football poll, the Sentinel Spartans are nearly the unanimous top team in Class AA. The defending state champions won for the 14th straight time at Helena last week to move to 4-0 this season. Sentinel received 14 of 15 first-place votes. Billings West came in second. Elspell Glacier is number 3, Butte number 4, and Great Falls CMR is number 5. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory. Gotta love some of the crossover we got here at Missoula Broadcasting Company. Shout out to Robert Chase. This is one of his tunes he was playing over there on the trail. It's not really actually even like a trail song, though. It's more like a kind of an old school soul song. I love it, though. 6s to 9s. Good one. Happy Thursday. Welcome back in. Nuanez now. 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana TV around the great state of Montana. I'm Colter Nuanez, broadcasting to you live from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport, new to Missoula. They're located at the corner of Stevens and Mount. Unbelievable inventory of trucks. No matter what brand of truck you're looking for, they got more trucks than anybody in the Pacific Northwest. So go check them out in Missoula, or you can visit online, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. Missed anything in the first hour of the show? We heard from Montana State head coach Brent Vigen as part of our Catching Up with the Cats weekly segment. Go check out Catching Up with the Cats podcast this week. Zach Minter, my guest, one of my favorite guys I ever covered over there at Montana State. Very gregarious and affable. I gotta love the D tackles with the big smiles. That's what you always want, is the charismatic fat guys. That's what we're here for. Those are always the guys that tell the best stories. So go check out that. We also heard from our good friend Carolyn. Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports. Give you a couple vouchers to the AC Hotel. Go on down there, have some mimosas, some Bloody Marys, maybe some brunch, and also give you a little roundup on high school sports as well. Everything from today's first hour can be found in the podcast, which is proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, Blackfoot Communications, and the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Welcome in now to the studio, Kyle Sample, a recovered journalist, but a guy who's spent a lot of time covering sports, writing about sports, and good friend of this show and one of my best friends, on the planet. This is how my life has digressed at this point. I have to invite my friends into my radio show to even talk sports with them because I don't even have any time to hang out with them. But what's up, Sam? How you living?
I didn't even recognize you.
Well, I got rid of all my hair.
You did?
Yeah.
You shaved it tight.
Yeah, shaved it tight.
When's the last time you did that?
I don't know. I feel like it's just pointless to hang on at this point. Might as well just go for it.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, my hair started growing more proficiently down than up. So
say you're balding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you just let it come out your face and just let it roll, dude. I appreciate all the guys that have paved the way for me, though, because the bald head, big beard is kind of in right now. It's
a big deal.
It's a big deal. So you just go for it. So you just roll. So Kyle and I have worked together on and off throughout the years. He's a recovered newspaper man who's now, being smart, trying to make some moolah. We're looking in the tech industry. You having fun? Do you miss journalism ever?
No.
Says no blankly. I love it.
No, I miss.
You're still a journalist at heart, though, because you're always texting me about stuff, seeing what's going on.
I mean, I like to pay attention to things. I miss writing like long stories.
Yeah.
Like where you spend a lot of time with. Those were a lot of fun. But beat journalism, being a fan is so much more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing that beats being a fan, honestly.
It's true, and we've gravitated towards away from the beat style stuff at Skyline Sports. We've been just doing features and analysis because I think that's what people want, man. You can get all the nuts and bolts of it on Twitter or whatever, or the message boards. Like, they want to know like the stories of the guys or like the analysis of what they're watching or whatever. Speaking of features, one of the most fun features you ever wrote at Skyline was about former Grizz long snapper Aaron Held. And I remember when I first told you I wanted you to write it, you're like, well, why? And then you did the interview, you're like, this could be sweet because he's like this super interesting guy. Aaron listens all the time, so shout out to Aaron. He actually won our Grizz Greats painting. And
sweet.
He had a little bit of an advantage because I told the contest was write a couple paragraphs about your best Grizz memory. And he wrote this whole story about when they went to South Dakota and Ellis Henderson returned a kick that was like the pinnacle moment in the game. But it was just like the story of the plane ride back. And I was like, well, I know the guy listens to the show all the time. And also, great essay. Like, it was just a very long and detailed essay. I was like, hey, you win, man. That's a great deal. So, by the way, before every Grizz home game, we'll be having our ESPN College Game Day Twisted Tailgate. And we have all sorts of stuff down there. Twisted Tea be slanging out some samples. We got swag from RV Truck Sales and Ryan Holloway and Miller and Brett's RV and Marine, everybody in between. But the other thing we got is the Grizz Greats painting of Dave Dickinson, Andy Larson, and Don Reed that we gave away a version of the print of. We have the original, and we're not selling it quite yet, but I am showing it off because it is going to go onto the market in a couple months here. But swing by the tailgate at the Chamber of Commerce parking lot and right by the foot of the walking bridge, and come check us out. I mean, come hang out with us, but check that painting out because that's going to be cool. It's going to be something that a lot of Grizz fans like. Time now for our All Football All the Time segments presented by Brett's RV and Marine. Brett's RV and Marine has their summer clearance sale going on right now. Summer may be setting, but savings are on the rise. Brett's RV and Marine has been owned and operated by a family, locally owned for more than 50 years. You can go find them and the best inventory of RVs anywhere in Montana at 4800 Grant Creek Road here in Missoula. I want to talk NFL, I want to talk Grizz, but let's start with the Grizz because we're going to circle back around to the Grizz here in about half an hour when Bobby Houck, I'm going to share some sound I got from him before Tuesday's practice. But you've been going to these games, you've been analyzing this team. The question I've been getting lately, and I'm not even close ready to go to this point yet, but I think it's a testament to how good Montana's looked defensively. I've been asked by not just fans, but I mean, Larry Weir from Eastern Washington, play-by-play guy for Eastern. He asked me, is this the best Grizz defense ever? It's only a 3-game sample size. I'm not really willing to anoint them as that yet, but a testament to how good the Grizz have been playing defensively.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential. Like, right? I mean, they haven't allowed anybody to do anything.
Anything. They've allowed 2 plays over 20 yards.
Is that real?
That's real.
Wow.
I mean, they've allowed 14 points in 3 games. That's an absurd number in college football.
You go back to the spring, 10 points those.
Yeah.
Like, dominated those games. Like, and wasn't one of the touchdowns that was scored not...
Well, so they've given up 21 total points, but 1 was a pick 6. So they've given up 1 touchdown to Washington on the first possession of the season, and then a fourth quarter touchdown with their 3rd string in against Cal Poly on Saturday. That's it.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
So when you watch them, though, I mean, from the stands, what's this look like? Because, I mean, They might not. I'm not willing to anoint them as the best, but in terms of the physicality and the aggressiveness they play with, it is impressive to watch.
It's not just that; it's really well organized. Like you watch those guys, like they communicate to each other often. It seems like. I mean, obviously we're not seeing everything as close as the coaches are, but like I think that's one thing that I notice is that when you see guys shifting on the offensive side and the defense has to rotate, which they do a lot with those safeties. Like they're communicating to each other on like multiple levels of the defense, and like that I think leads to as much of their success as anything. Besides the fact that they're versatile and they're fast and they just know exactly where they're supposed to be. It seems like
schematically and the things that they do that are unorthodox is not even selling it as an extreme of level as it actually is. The things that they do that I've never seen any defenses be able to get away with. One, they don't substitute based on personnel changes whatsoever. They only substitute based on getting guys new opportunities or getting guys a blow. That's it. Like when the offense does subs, they don't bring anybody else in.
No, they pretty much stick with the guys that they have.
And the other thing, like you're talking about the communication, because they communicate so well and they don't do subs based on personnel, on one play, Nash Fouch might be playing nickel. On another play, he might be playing rover. On another play, he might be playing Sam. Same thing with everybody. The only guys that really play the same spot all the time in that defense are the corners, but even they can bump inside of the nickel. But mostly it's the defensive tackles, the guys that are on the nose, and Robbie Houck. Other than that, everybody's playing everything all the time. It's just so impressive to watch.
It looks like chaos, and it's not. Which is my favorite thing about it is that like it is really organized. They know exactly what's happening, and like they react so well. And I mean, it's not. It looks like chaos because they're running all over when you're just watching as a fan and not seeing things super clearly.
Sure.
Like it looks so chaotic, but it's awesome to watch. It's really cool.
The other thing that is so impressive about it is conventional wisdom would also point toward when you send that much pressure from so many different angles, it leaves you very vulnerable to quick hitting passing plays.
Yeah.
How did we see Sammy Akem score last week against Cal Poly?
Yeah.
A big blitz. Cam Humphrey gets the ball out while he's getting hit, and it's a one-on-one, and Sammy Akem, boom, he catches it, house.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Montana, Bo Baldwin, Cal Poly's head coach, he described it perfectly. He said, hey, when a team blitzes 7 guys, you should be able to draw up a tunnel screen on a napkin in a bar, and that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they did that. Cal Poly did, I think, 7 times, and their longest gain was 12 yards because of the way these guys can get off blocks, set the edge, tackle in space. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It has people fired up. I think that's exactly what people wanted to see. A strong defensive team. I don't think there's anything that, even though like the program ascended on offense, I don't think there's anything Grizz fans like as much as a strong defense.
It's the most fun thing to watch live, too.
Yeah.
Because you can comprehend it so well. Like when everybody's partying on the pile, everybody's running the ball.
Well, and like it looks like chaos, right? And like most of the experience that most people have who are fans playing football is just sort of chaotic, like backyard stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I think resonates in a certain way.
Kyle Sample joining me, Colter Nuanez, here in studio on Nuanez Now. That said, the defense has been getting returns to the point of getting national recognition. They got people around the country talking about, is this the best defense in the history of a program that has a ton of great defensive units and defensive players that have come through? But on the other side, I think the offense has left maybe not even a lot to be desired. What have you thought of the Cam Humphrey, the quarterback, and then what have you thought of the offense in general?
I just thought it's inconsistent. Very inconsistent. Not totally what I expect, but facing Washington was tough, and like I give Humphrey all the credit in the world. I was really not impressed for 3 quarters, but playing that way he did in the 4th quarter was, that's gutsy stuff. Like you rally around a guy like that, but totally the offense. It hasn't like wowed me at all. Like I was really excited to see some stuff that we saw last year, just accentuated.
Sure,
a lot of the big play stuff, and there's big plays here and there, but I haven't been like super excited by it.
So there's a building narrative right now that they've been keeping a lot of that stuff under their hat.
I believe that. Like early, that makes sense, right? Like you don't show everything super early, right?
You're going to have a pretty pared down playbook when you go on the road to play a ranked Pac-12 team. Right. And then you pretty much know that barring a complete meltdown, that you're going to take care of business at home against Western Illinois and Cal Poly. Yep. You also have a bye week in between there. So, I don't think it's a coincidence that Gabe Solser has been sort of irrelevant in this offense. Sammy Akem has 7 catches this entire year. Cole Grossman only has a couple catches. But then you have Eric Barker and Joey Elwell catching touchdowns. to me, it's not a coincidence. I feel like that they're just putting as much on film as possible to lead up into this weekend.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I bet we see a lot more this weekend than we have all year. You're right. I mean, they just the Washington game is what it is when you're preparing for it, and then the other two games, they just probably knew they were better. I mean, you look at those two opponents, and then you look at what they played in the spring, and it's like, I mean, they're the equivalent of Portland State, right? And
sure,
look what happened there.
Yeah, exactly. This weekend, Saturday night, Cheney, Washington, 8:30 p.m. local kick, this local time, 7:30 on the local kick there from Cheney, Washington. Live on ESPN2. It's the number 6 Eastern Washington Eagles hosting the number 4 Montana Grizzlies. This is the first time these two teams have played each other when they both ranked in the top 8. Is that surprising?
Yeah.
Because Montana was perennially in the top 10, top 8 for all of the 2000s, but Eastern was a top 25, but not a top 10 program yet. And then Eastern was sort of that team in the top 5 for most of the last decade, and Montana wasn't quite there. So it does, when you actually think about it, it kind of makes sense. But this is sort of an opportunity for maybe a changing of the guard back to Montana's favor. I don't know. What do you think of this game coming into this thing?
I want to go to it so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, ticket price, I'm just going to say it. That's outrageous. Like, whatever.
What are they charging for tickets?
$85.
Oh, man.
That's outrageous. That's crazy. That's crazy.
For a Big
Sky
Conference
level, but I
game.
get it. But I don't know. There's been few games, like regular season games, that excite me like this. Like, we talked about it, like, as when you grow up, like, Montana State was always supposed to be the rival, but I always felt like Eastern Washington was a little bit more because, like, starting with, like, those Eric Meyer teams, they were always just so good. Like, right? They were always so good.
Mm-hmm.
And they just seemed more of, like, a competitor to Montana. And now to see them, like, at this level, both of them in the top 10, man, it'd be really excited to go to that game at night.
There's also just the dynamic of that Montana State are always going to have a bunch of Montana-born players. So even if their schematics and things are different, a lot of the makeup of their teams are going to be somewhat similar.
Yeah.
And you also just have that whole element of just being in-state. But Eastern Washington's always been built on in completely different fashion than the Montana schools. They've always been built on, guys with chips on their shoulders, guys that couldn't get into bigger schools, guys that, maybe academically were mediocre, guys that are from places that are a lot more urban and a lot more ghetto than places that Montana's recruiting, like Tacoma. So I do think that there's sort of like this yin and yang between Montana and Eastern Washington, too, because the identities of the program have been so different, even when they both have been so good.
Very, very different. Very different. And Eastern, it just always was so sweet to go over there and beat them because, like, Montana fans, it's always been a thing where they just know that they would, like, flood those stadiums. Like, I remember those games they played at Joe Albee?
Oh, yeah.
And it was huge.
Yes.
And they would be, like, 15,000 Grizz fans in a 20,000 seat stadium.
Yeah. I mean, when Montana went over there in '95 and beat Eastern 63-7, and there was like 15,000 Grizz fans there, I think that was sort of the beginning of the end of Eastern playing Montana in downtown Spokane.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
So a question from a listener yesterday on our text line, which, by the way, you want to be involved in the conversation, you got thoughts, questions, anything about this Eastern Washington game, 888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. You can text us and be involved in the conversation. But a text from a listener yesterday was asking if they thought that Eastern would bring in extra stands or not. What do you think? Is that smart or not for Eastern? Because on one hand, you need the revenue. You know that a bunch of Grizz fans are going to go. But on the other hand, you don't want to kill your own home field advantage. I mean, it would be pretty embarrassing if you had more Grizz fans showing out on a night game on ESPN2 than your own fans.
I think if you're Eastern, you kind of know the cap of how many fans you can have there as your team. Right? Like, how many fans is the most fans they ever get there? Like 10,000?
Yeah.
No matter what?
Sure.
So if you bring in 25,000, you're going to have 15,000 Grizz fans. Like, that many Grizz fans will go to that game.
Totally. All football all the time. Presented by Brett's RV and Marine. Brett's got their summer clearance sale going on right now, so go check out Brett's. Summer may be setting, but savings are on the rise. They're located at 4800 Grant Creek Road here in Missoula. Let's talk a little NFL. We're going to let that spill over into the next couple segments as well. But the first and foremost question I want to ask you is Trey Lance, who I can say is maybe not a friend, but
he's a friend.
A couple-time contributor on the show. He's been on the show a couple times, and I just think it's so cool every time I see him get an NFL game, I could just, post the podcast and when he was on our show. But a guy that was outstanding at North Dakota State that rose rapidly through the draft boards and landed in San Francisco as the number 3 overall pick. And you're a big-time San Francisco 49ers guy, and the rumblings are real. Trey Lance, he comes off the bench, he scores a touchdown against the Green Bay Packers the other night. By the way, what a game. Looked like the Niners had it, but 46 seconds is too long for Aaron Rodgers. He got him all the way down, and the Packers escape with a 2-point victory. But what's your take on Trey Lance right now? Because it seems like this is a brewing situation. People kind of want him. They have wanted him, but the more, 49ers, they're not in trouble by any means. They're 2-1, but it seems like that there's a narrative brewing that Trey Lance needs to be the guy.
Yeah, there definitely is. I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo guy. Like, I'm ready to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm not sure that Trey Lance should be the full-time starter right yet. 3 weeks in is that's not much, especially if you're 2-1. Jimmy, you can say what you want about the clock management down the end of that game and how much that cost him. Still, I just think they should probably use Trey Lance more. I would really like that if they use Trey Lance more. I'm just not sure he should be the starter yet, but I'm also not going to be surprised if it's by week 10 he's the starter.
Amazing how much better they look now that they're fully healthy, the Niners as a whole.
I mean, they got nobody in the defensive backfield.
That's true.
Nobody.
But last year they were just so decimated. Their offense looks like a real offense. Jimmy Garoppolo looks objectively way better only because
he's on the field.
Yeah, he's on the field, but also he's got Deebo Samuel and George Kittle to throw to. That helps you a little bit.
Yeah, that helps a ton. They are way healthier than last year, but man, with that defensive backfield as injured as it is against Seattle, I'm scared. I hate to say it against the Seahawks, but I'm scared about that.
The Seahawks looked like trash last week. That was at home against a team that I think sucks. That's my Minnesota Vikings.
Can they go 1-3? Can you envision that?
The Seahawks?
Yeah, can they be 1-3?
Well, it's funny because I have proclaimed the Seahawks were going to suck for the last several years and been way wrong. And now this year I changed my tune and said I'm not going to bet against the Seahawks anymore, and now they might suck. I don't know.
3 straight losses it would be, right?
It would be.
Is that the first time that's happened under Pete Carroll?
I can't imagine that it has. They've had a winning record all but one season in his, 11 or 12 seasons at the helm?
Right. I'm certain Russell Wilson hasn't lost 3. I don't know. I just feel like it's it's a recipe for it. And if it happens, man, those Trey Lance rumors are going to be vicious. Vicious.
How do you think that could impact the rest of their season?
If you're a professional sports team, you have to just be the Twitter doesn't matter. If it's not a discussion, if it's not a discussion within your team,
right.
If you know that Jimmy makes you better than the other guy, then you just have to go with Jimmy. And the Twitter doesn't matter. What the fans say, it doesn't matter. With these guys out here who are
what the media says, nothing.
Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. It's
right.
Well, why? What? You tell me why. Tell me exactly what you don't like about it.
Exactly. No, that's.
Even though I'm a guy who's
true.
not a Jimmy guy, but
totally, I fully agree. Nuanez now, Kyle Sample joining me, Colter Nuanez here in studio. It's the Northwest Motorsports studio. It's our all football all the time, presented by Brett's RV and Marine. We're going to circle back around in the NFL a little later on. But coming up next, Bobby Houck asked him not necessarily football questions, but questions about his position as a leader at the University of Montana. Enrollment's up at Montana. What does Coach Houck think of that? We'll tell you that and more right here on Nuanez Now. Keep it here, ESPN Radio. Although it might sound daunting, getting your wisdom teeth out is just a part of life. No matter when you might need your wisdom teeth extracted, Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates in Missoula is the man you need to see. Dr. Morris has extensive experience and a reputation as a surgeon who's both gentle and detailed, and will make your wisdom teeth extraction process seem like a breeze. When you need your wisdom teeth removed, put your trust in Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates of Missoula. Hallelujah. Football is back around the Treasure State, and whether you want to watch high school football on SWX Montana or on the MHSA live stream, or you're looking to catch the Grizzlies each and every Saturday, or you want to check out all the action when it comes to the NFL, you want to head on down to Paradise Falls. Has 30 big screen TVs, 18 draft beers, breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus Paradise Falls has the SportsBet Montana kiosks, so you make all your bets no matter what football you are watching. Come watch football in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
As a thank you to Montanans for their longtime loyalty, Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors is having one of the biggest sales of the year, September 29th through October 10th. Whatever outdoor adventure you seek, you'll find amazing deals in hiking, fishing, camping, hunting, fitness, and footwear during their 12 Days of Deals sale. Over 100 years of Montana sports and outdoors tradition. Hurry in, the 12 Days of Deals sale ends October 10th.
Teddy Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man in the arena whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood." We here at ESPN Missoula like to dole out that credit each week during Treasure State Stars. Tune in each Tuesday during the 4 o'clock hour to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula for the Treasure State Stars, where we highlight a handful of the top individual athletic performances from across the great state of Montana. Treasure State Stars is proudly presented by Parkside Credit Union.
The NFL is back in full force. Join Colter Nuanez as he presents a variety of top-notch analysis with featured experts like Brooks Nuanez, Ryan Tutel, Regime Seabrook, Sean Rainey, and more. All football, all the time. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays in the 5 o'clock hour on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula. All football, all the time. Proudly sponsored by Brett's RV and Marine.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
College hoops practice opened around Montana and around the NCAA this week, and the Lady Grizz started the upcoming year with a bang. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. New Montana women's basketball coach Brian Holzinger and his staff secured a verbal commitment from McKendra Koenig, a 5'9" point guard from Mill Creek, Washington, who is listed as the 91st ranked player in the United States. Koenig is a 4-star recruit who previously competed for the Austrian U16 national team. The Montana women's soccer team won its 5th consecutive game, all coming by shutout, and finished off a sweep of its Big Sky Conference opening road trip with a 1-0 victory over Southern Utah on Sunday afternoon in Cedar City. The Grizz opened the league with a 1-0 victory at Northern Arizona Friday night. Montana's last 4 wins have been by 1-0 scores, with the goals coming from 4 different players. Bella O'Brien scored the deciding goal of the most recent Montana win. In crosstown volleyball action last night, Big Sky took down Hellgate in 4 sets. The Eagles moved to 2-11 with the win, and Hellgate remains winless at 0-9. And finally, in the latest Treasure State Media football poll, the Sentinel Spartans are nearly the unanimous top team in Class AA. The defending state champions won for the 14th straight time at Helena last week to move to 4-0 this season. Sentinel received 14 of 15 first-place votes. Billings West came in second. Kalispell Glacier is number 3, Butte number 4, and Great Falls CMR is number 5. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory.
Like the dance of the bruises together, the cash when the music is through. No, she don't look back. I've come to look for America too. Then we stole the car on the 4th of July. I pawned my guitar and we drove through the night.
Welcome back to the Soft Rock Hour here on ESPN Radio. Kyle Sample, Joe DeMee, Colter Nuanez here on Nuanez Now. One-stop shop for all things music jokes, but also, you know, little sports from time to time as well. Thanks so much for kicking with us on a Thursday. Fun having my good buddy Kyle in studio. A bunch of stuff to get to. We're going to hear from Bobby Houck here in a minute. But a couple things I want to ask your perspective on, just some random around the world of sports questions. First of all, if you're watching on TV, SWX Montana television, you see here I got my Grizz hockey schedule. Grizz hockey back in the fold. First time in more than a decade the Grizz have had a hockey team, and they get their season started on Saturday night down at the Glacier Ice Rink against Montana State. And then they got a couple games at Gonzaga, and then they got the Cats back here again October 15th and 16th on Friday, Saturday. Do you have any thoughts?
Let me take a look at this.
Do you have any thoughts on Grizz hockey?
I'm very interested in it. I just learned it's a thing.
You just learned. Here we are.
Yeah, but
now
I'm
you know.
very interested in it.
Okay. So, I mean, this is very similar to the club model that the University of Montana lacrosse team has established. Tucker Sargent, our good buddy, former co-host of this show, has sort of spearheaded this. He's on the board, and he kind of helped put the roster and the team together. And we'll be carrying every Grizz hockey game here on ESPN Radio, every single home game, that is. But I think that it's interesting. We've analyzed the club model here on Nuanez Now quite a bit. And there's a big difference between club sports that the vast majority of Division I institutions offer as varsity sports, and club sports like hockey and lacrosse, where, I don't know, 10 or 15% of Division I athletic departments actually offer them as scholarship sports. So, I mean, because they have their own fundraising, their own budget, they're not doing scholarships, but they're getting fee waivers. They're doing all that sort of stuff. But more importantly, I mean, this is the Grizz hockey and Grizz lacrosse are as well funded, albeit independently funded, as a lot of the non-revenue sports at Montana. And so it's an interesting deal because even if you're not recruiting with the offer of a full ride scholarship, you're recruiting legitimate players. I mean, they have guys from all the hockey hotbeds, Canada and North Dakota, Minnesota, and the East Coast. So I find it fascinating, but I think it has a chance to be really big because, I mean, Glacier Ice Rink's a sweet venue. They're going to have beer. It's going to be cheap. The tickets are cheap. I mean, $10 to get in. That's
$10.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I can see us going down there and having some sodas.
I go to a hockey game on a Friday night, have some beers, and watch them play. Look at this run they have in November. Weber State comes here, BYU, Utah State. Like, I don't know what the nature of those guys' hockey teams are over there, but like those are big name schools.
No question. Montana State's had a club hockey team for several years now. They're really good. They made it to I believe the regional finals of that level of college hockey. So definitely
it's
cool.
Kind of like the baseball team used to when the baseball team was here.
Yep,
they used to be really good. They used to go to national tournaments.
Sure, absolutely.
You know? Same thing.
Interesting perspective because I think it has a chance to be big. Because I think hockey's very popular in Missoula.
Missoula's a big hockey town.
Yeah.
Try go to a bar and watch the NBA during hockey season. I tell you, no, hockey is on.
No, hockey's on.
Beat it.
That's exactly right.
Nobody watches the NBA.
The other thing I wanted your perspective on is open enrollment in Missoula high schools when it comes to sports. What do you think of it?
I guess it's like good to a point, right?
Sure.
And I don't know if it's reached that point. I was at Katie O'Keefe's watching USC's opening game.
Yeah.
And there was a guy behind me, and man, he was just very against it. Like like it's being abused. All these kids are being recruited. There's a reason X team is so good.
Sure.
And like, you know, I'm not going to name the names name the teams he said, but like he was very, very against open enrollment because I guess he thinks it's being abused. I don't know if it is.
I just find it fascinating because the district lines in Missoula are a little bit arbitrary only because it doesn't matter where you live. The drive to each of the three high schools is very similar unless you live like out the Lolo way or the Big Flat way. Other than that, I mean, Hellgate, Sentinel, and Big Sky are all like a mile apart from each other. Yeah. It's in a little triangle. Yeah. So you can justify that it's closer to go to one high school or the other or you know, whatever. It's not as if it's a proximity is an issue. I also find it funny when people are talking about the recruiting element of it because I think that, like it or hate it, there's been a certain level of recruiting going on in high school sports in Montana forever.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, there's no question that like Great Falls CMR had all sorts of great players that weren't from Great Falls. They were from Dutton and Power and Havre and the High Line, you know?
Yeah.
Conrad and Shelby.
Yeah.
Because if you can go play for a head coach that's got 13 state championships, you go do it.
We'll go do it. Play college football after that.
I just think it's
I don't know. Is it being abused? Is that a topic? Is that something people talk about?
Well, I think that the more dire issue when it comes to high school sports, not just in Missoula but in Montana, is the haves and the have-nots, the disparity of it. Because we've seen this gigantic fracturing now. Like at the Class AA level now with 16 teams, there's 6-7 teams that have no chance when they play the top 6 or 7 teams.
I've seen some of those scores.
They can only play each other and have a chance.
Yeah.
Like poor Flathead right now, they're getting routed in every game. And they've scored like 28 points this whole season. They've given up at least 49 in every single game. I mean, Hellgate...
Is Hellgate getting beaten bad?
Here's the dichotomy of Hellgate's season. Here's the dichotomy of Hellgate's season because they're actually towards the top of the bottom, right? They're
the top of those teams.
They rolled Belgrade 42-20, and then they lost to Helena High 63-6 the next week. But then they blew out Flathead the following week. So
63-6?
Yes, but that's the thing that I'm talking about is there is at least one 60-point game in which the other team scores less than 14 every weekend in Class AA. That's going to manifest itself negatively moving forward. Because how do you rebuild a program or how do you get better when a kid that's going to maybe come out for football looks and he's like, oh, you went 1-9 last year and you lost 63-7 like 4 or 5 times? That's not good for anybody.
You follow the Sentinel blueprint.
Which is?
which is you get guys in there who are going to be committed to that program, be around that program, and like treat it like a program, and then it probably will become one over time.
I just worry about.
I think right, like
sure.
It seems like that's exactly what Sentinel did, right?
Yeah, I just worry about the dilution of it. I think the one biggest detrimental part of the open enrollment in Missoula, recruiting part aside, is that because it is in place. Why would you go to Big Sky or Hellgate if you want to play football? Why would you go to Hellgate or Big Sky if you want to play volleyball? Why would you go?
At some point, like the system becomes so abused, right? Like that
Sure.
it is obviously not a good thing, and then you try to change it a little
Sure.
bit. Right?
I just find it very interesting that like.
I mean, kids did play football at Hellgate when I was in high school there.
Right.
And it wasn't pretty.
Sure, but it was more competitive than it is now.
Was it?
I mean, I don't know. I guess that the point is we see across all high school sports in Missoula, like right now Sentinel's really good in volleyball, and the other two teams have one win between them because Big Sky beat Hellgate the other night.
Do they have all the best players? Are all those players, do we know all those players are from very different areas of Missoula?
That's the part you can never really decipher.
Like, I wonder.
But I don't think it's a coincidence that like Hellgate boys soccer is unbelievable and the other boys soccer teams can't really hang. I don't think it's a coincidence like when you have a good team.
I'm not saying like it is or isn't, but like maybe every now and then you get a good crop of players from a certain area, right? Who grew up playing with each other. Maybe, I don't know. That Hellgate area is gigantic.
Yeah.
Where it draws from.
Totally.
As far as Missoula goes.
Totally.
But yeah, it might not be a coincidence. But what we need is a reporter to go and chart where all these kids live.
Ooh, there's a good idea. Shout out Missoula and go.
We shouldn't do
that. Don't do that. That would be a giant headache and a really weird invasion of privacy. It certainly would. I just wonder, like, what's Big Sky going to do, man? Like, Big Sky, that's my alma mater. They are not really competitive at hardly any sport right now. Like, they had Hunter Meisen, the kid that's going to Oregon State for wrestling. But, I mean, right now they have a one-win football team. They have a one-win volleyball team. Their girls basketball team's won a handful of games in the last several years. They have a turnover in coaches because how do you build something when, like the other year, they finally do have a guy that can lead their basketball program in Cam Lawrence, then he just goes and transfers to Hellgate. It's just it's not fun for the kids.
So you're saying there's an abuse of the system right now?
Yes.
Okay. That I didn't know about. I'm not sure what point it's gotten to, but I just know that I've heard it complained about. So then, what do you do then?
I don't know because I think that
can only go to a certain school.
Yeah, I don't know because I think that there's a more of an analysis that's necessary for why is the disparity so much. Because to harken back to your point, like when we were in high school, 16, 17 years ago, Big Sky was significantly better than Hellgate at football. But it still took a strong effort to beat Hellgate. Like even though Hellgate you guys had a lot of players that you had to prepare for, and it's not like you're just going to go. I mean, Helena High came in here and Caden Hewitt threw 6 touchdowns in the first half. It was like 52-0 at halftime at Washington Grizzlies Stadium. That's stupid.
I think CMR did that exact same thing to us on our homecoming my senior year. It was the exact same
that situation. CMR team had like 5 guys that went to play college football, though, including a couple that went to the Pac-12. But regardless, an interesting conversation to be sure. I just wonder why there is such a disparity, particularly at the Class AA level between the haves and the have-nots.
I wonder how it's gotten to this level.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. It's time now. It's Nuanez now, by the way, for our Hauk highlights. We do this once a week, just depending on when I can catch up with Bobby Hauk. I caught up with Montana's head football coach before Tuesday's practice. Hauk highlights is presented by Ryan Holloway and Miller. Paul Ryan is one of the most respected legal names in the city of Missoula. He's won Missoula's top attorney 13 different times during his career, and he's excited to announce the expansion of his firm. He's added Nate Holloway and Angie Miller as partners. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your go-to for any of your legal needs, whether it's personal injury, criminal defense, medical malpractice, or wrongful death. Ryan Holloway and Miller, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call them at any time. They have an answering line that they'll take care of you. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys, and the proud presenter of Hauk Highlights. First of all, just a broad question. Enrollment up in Montana for the first time in a long time. So what do you think of that element, and do you at least hope that the success of the football team is a contributing factor?
Well, I think it's great, obviously. Yeah, it's great. Fired up about it.
I saw you talking to President Bodner before the game. Seems like he's engaged in athletics. Do you think that's an important element of being the president of Montana?
I do. I think athletics is very visible, if not the front porch of the university. Big part of it. And I'm appreciative that our president and our university community embraces that.
Saw some Lady Grizz assistant coaches rather on the sidelines too. So do you feel like sort of having a symbiotic relationship between athletic department, coaching staffs, and things like that is good for the athletic department too?
Oh, I didn't see that, so I don't.
Tinks and,
Tinks
and Joss.
I didn't get to see Tinks.
Yeah, he came impressed. I saw because
he sent me a text after the game, and I said I didn't even know. I didn't even know you were here.
Yeah.
So, which was too bad. I wish you'd have texted me before.
Yeah. No question. Well, I know. Aaron Best.
Yeah, we get along good.
Coach,
like everybody.
Coach Best said that he was a GA for Tim Rosenbaum once upon a time, so it seems like there's some staff crossover. Is there any other staff crossover in this matchup this weekend?
I don't think so. I think just Coach Best would be the only one that I can think of. It's the only one I can think of is Coach Best.
It's an interesting element, the fact that you're at your alma mater, he's at his alma mater. So what's that dynamic like? What do you like about coaching at your alma mater?
Well, it depends on where you are. I mean, some people don't have the same affinity as we do around here, but there's a bunch of us that are alums here, and we love this place, and we're glad to be a part of it.
I was thinking this the other day. You guys played Central Washington in the spring. You played Washington. Now you play Eastern Washington. So those three are the four most.
One to go.
That's one to go, right? How impactful is that, though, the fact that you guys recruit in that area a lot? You want to be good in Washington. Do you feel like showing your product and sort of crossing over with those teams is good for you, especially on the recruiting trail?
We're in the Northwest recruiting, so, playing games in the Northwest is probably good. It's close for our kids' parents, families, and high school friends and all that. So that's a good deal. And I think when you're there, it probably has you in front of the high school kids, which is always good.
The last question for me then. ESPN2, that's a huge platform, not just for your football team, but for the university as a whole. So what do you think of that element, the fact that you guys get to put the Montana brand on the national stage?
Well, being on one of their two major platforms is good for everybody. It's good for the conference. It's good for the state of Montana. It's good for the University of Montana. So I'm happy that they decided to put us on, and hopefully we have a good performance.
It is a big moment for both University of Montana and Eastern Washington Saturday night on national television. The first nationally televised regular season Big Sky game in the league's history. We're going to talk more about that, about the impact that national exposure could have for both Montana and Eastern Washington here on Nuanez Now, right after this. Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in Western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys. Backed by popular demand, Zootown Sports Cards presents the Missoula Sports Card and Collectible Show. On Saturday, October 20th at the Doubletree Hotel, come check out exceptionally rare and coveted cards and goods from more than 30 vendors from around the state and region. The specialty show lasts from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. and admission for attendees is free. So come check out the hottest in the memorabilia industry at the Missoula Sports Card and Collectible Show at the Doubletree, October 23rd, presented by Zootown Sports Cards of Missoula.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Being a teenager is tough. There's the constant pressure to be liked,
endless worrying about college.
Cyberbullying, high expectations, all the negativity.
There's no question. Being a teenager is tough. And what do Montana's teens do when they want to block out the noise and clear their heads?
We play!
Research shows that teenagers who participate in high school sports have lower stress levels, more confidence, and greater self-esteem. And then there's the biggest benefit of all.
High school sports are fun.
Not just fun.
They're a lot of fun.
Encourage your teenagers to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school. They'll stress less and smile more. And they'll be laying the foundation for a happier, healthier future.
This message presented by the Montana High School Association and the Montana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
It's Nuanez now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. My good friend, Kyle Sample, joining me in studio, giving you all things football all the time. We do this a couple times a week, and all football all the time is always presented by Brett's RV and Marine. Brett's RV and Marine has a summer clearance sale going on, so go check them out. They're located at the corner, at 4800 Grant Creek Road, and locally owned and operated, family owned and operated for more than 50 years. So go check out Brett's RV and Marine for the best RV selection under the big sky. Missed anything in the show today? Great show. Heard from Brent Deegan, Montana State head coach, to preview the Bobcat game against Northern Colorado. Our good friend Carolyn Chico Doesn't Know Sports swung by for all things entertaining, including a little Adele rendition mocking the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick promo for the Sunday Night Football game this week as Tampa Bay takes on New England. We also heard from Bobby Houck and, of course, some good discussion about both Big Sky Conference prep and NFL football here with Kyle Sample. All that can be found on our podcast. Nuanez Now podcast proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Blackfoot Communications. Grizz open as minus 6.5 point favorites out Eastern Washington. What do you think of that line?
Well, I think less of it now than I did 10 minutes ago after talking to you during the break. Yeah, your conviction that Montana's going to win has definitely pushed me towards they're going to win by a lot. I think that Eastern Washington right now statistically has the best offense in the country. I do think that personnel-wise they do have one of the best offenses in the country. They have the best quarterback in the country. That said, I think they're very poor on defense. I think the Grizz have not unleashed many of the schematic things or the personnel that they can use. And I also just think that this is what it comes down to. I don't think Eastern can block Montana. Yeah, that's what you said. I totally agree. I, for some reason, hadn't thought about that. My whole thought was, what are the the passing concepts that Eastern uses, and how does that affect our defense? Because I just don't think we've. I haven't watched them a lot, so I don't know, and I get the feeling just from what I've heard that we haven't faced an offense like that yet. But yeah, when you threw in the blocking part, I think you're right. Like, who does block those guys? True. Washington couldn't block those guys. And our Andrew Houghton, our producer on this show, a contributor here on ESPN Radio, as well as a writer at SkylineSportsMT.com, his biggest point of contention is that, like I've been saying all week, conventional wisdom is that if a team sends 7 and you run a sweet, quick slant, or you run a dirty little post out of the slot, or you run a screen play, you hit it, it's a touchdown. And his whole point is that Cal Poly did it, and they just don't have that good of personnel. Eastern does it. They got Tallulah Limo Jones and Andrew Boston and guys that are all league receivers. So I think if you're Montana, you're just a little bit smarter when you're calling those, right? I mean, I think you're just changing it up more. I mean, we have about a 5-game sample size now. I guess we have about a 7-game sample size from the beginning of November in 2019 till now, where Montana actually pretty much blitzes on every single play. And it works so well against Weber State, annihilate them. Bad against the Bobcats,
great until it went bad in the playoff run in 2019, and then great so far during the spring and fall of 2021.
And you think they'll continue that on Saturday?
I think that they have a couple guys that are such unbelievably versatile players. To me, the entire key to the scheme is not these linebackers that are played out of their minds, not the upgrades at corner that they've made, not the diversity and depth they have at safety, but the fact that they literally can drop a defensive end into coverage, and a guy like Justin Belknap can run with receivers. He can hang in that spot. It's not that big of an exploitation.
Andrew seems very certain that we are wrong in our take on this.
He can come on if he can figure it out. We still learn how to press all the buttons around here.
Yeah, so I'm going to step in here because you guys invoked my name.
Have to. I just saw you back there. You looked like
I
you were
think 100% Montana's going to keep blitzing the same way that they have, the same way that they always have. I just think that Cal Poly sort of showed the blueprint as to how you beat that, and they just have the personnel that Cal Poly doesn't. I mean, Eric Barrier and those... The thing about Montana's been winning with scheme and they've been winning with personnel every time because their players are just better than Cal Poly's players, obviously better than Western Illinois. Eastern has the personnel to win some of those one-on-one matchups.
So are you taking the 6.5 or not?
Well, he's on the beat, so he's not allowed to comment on that. But it's a good point, and I think that's something we'll probably hash out tomorrow as well. Running out of time for today, but it's been a great show. Thanks so much for kicking it with us. We're all heading over to Cheney. I'm trying to convince Sample to come with us, too. But Andrew, myself, a couple photographers, we're rolling over to the Red Turf. So we'll have full coverage for you live and in person over there as well. But tomorrow, back in the saddle, my good buddy Rajim Seabrook swinging by. We'll also hear from Matt Johnson, Dane Oliver, and Mick Morris, the three head football coaches for the Class AA squads as part of our Garden City Spotlight. And should be a good one tomorrow. Last thought. I mean, what do you think of this game for Montana, Eastern Washington from a national perspective? Because big-time exposure for a couple schools that have been struggling from a university perspective the last little while.
It's amazing they put it on ESPN, too. Like, amazing for both schools.
Yes.
Just to be back and be able to be seen on a Saturday night when normally it would be a Pac-12 school. Like, it's incredible that both schools get that kind of exposure. And I hope Montana just, like, wins by 50.
Gotta love it, Kyle Sample. No longer a journalist, now just a Grizz guy. But still, great conversation. Thanks so much for swinging by, man. This was fun.
Thanks.
We'll be back at it tomorrow, 4 p.m. In the meantime, you enjoy yourself. Thursday night football tonight, Cincinnati versus Jacksonville. A snoozer if you looked at it during the preseason, but Cincinnati's pretty intriguing right now. They've knocked off a couple of good teams. They beat the Vikings and the Steelers, so maybe the Bengals got something cooking. We'll have a recap of that tomorrow as well, back at 4 p.m. See you then.
Garden City Paint and Glass is proud to offer a huge variety of high-quality paints and stains at affordable